All right, so as Cindy just said, I am out here at Elderslie Farms with Catherine Elder. And Catherine is the executive chef and owner with her husband George of the farm. And I'm going to let Catherine tell you, there's like lots of facets to this property. And I'm just going to let her tell you kind of the background, how it started, what was the impetus behind it.
Yes, thank you so much. It's great to be with you all. This is actually the home that George grew up in. He came back from college at Clemson University with a desire to really take Kansas and the place where he was from and celebrate it. He started with the Woodworks, which is still running in the back of the property. We do a lot of specialty tables and installs in Wichita, as well as most of the black walnut that you see around the farm has been milled and crafted on site, which is pretty cool. He, with his sister Alexis, planted blackberries in 2009, and then 2 years later it was time for the blackberries to be harvested, and I was pregnant, and he asked me to check people in for U-Pick. And instead of checking people in, we decided to go with breakfast, which then turned into breakfast and lunch. And then my sister-in-law began growing vegetables for a CSA, and we started the farm dinners with the vegetables from her CSA to kind of showcase what was going on out here. And his parents have been tremendously gracious to share the property with us. And now it's been acquired and turned into all various manner of things. The Creamery, which is just a year old, actually had its beginning with hobby goats that George's mom made some of the most incredible feta you've ever had with from the get-go. And we just took that and ran with it. And now we have formal dining year-round, 3 nights a week. The Bramble Cafe is open during the summer. We do a lot of special events. And then we have the Creamery and the Woodworks and the U-Pick blackberries, which is really the highlight of our year. Okay, so this is our Longfield property. And when you go to pick blackberries, you'll be picked up in the little roundabout right in front of the Creamery, and then driven on a little we call it the berry ferry. It's a trolley that will take you down through here, right past this irrigation shed was built to accommodate, it's the watershed that services the blackberries, built in 2013. And we planted these plants in 2013 after having grown an acre at home. Then you're dropped off. Let's go look at the berries.
So, wow.
Here we are in the berries.
I did not even know this existed. I kind of feel like I'm in wine country a little bit.
Right? It's so fun.
But,
yeah,
tell us about this.
All you'll see right behind us to my left, these trellises are upright. She's tipping up the trellises. So when they're lying down, it encourages all the blossoms to come up on one face, and then it creates this carpet of fruit that then, as she tips it up during the U-Pick season, all the rows are standing right up, and this whole face where the blossoms have come on is standing there ready for picking.
What's the total poundage that you...
It just really depends on the year. The
Yeah.
capacity of the field just shifts with weather, with, hail or too much rain or not enough rain. There are all sorts of variables, particularly growing in Kansas, as we've experienced this spring.
You talk about U-Pick season.
Yes.
When is U-Pick season?
Yes, U-Pick season typically starts the second or third week in June.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll stretch into the end of July. But it just, again, it really depends on Kansas weather.
Because they don't even do this in, I've been to the wine country, both in Italy and in California, and all their stuff is stagnant, right?
Yes.
They don't lay them down.
No.
Okay.
Just the growth habit. These, each year, the vines that come up, the new shoots this year will fruit next year. So these are all the extensions of last year's new growth.
Okay. And this was all initially planted?
This acre was planted in 2013.
Okay.
I have the first blackberry off of this whole patch in my freezer still.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay. So we are now in the Creamery portion of the business that apparently is, what, about a year old, did you say?
Yes.
Something like that. And I'm going to let Catherine go ahead and just tell you how this part started.
Yes, when from the beginning of the farm, there were hobby goats that my mother-in-law actually made just some of the most amazing feta and has for years and years. And as the dinners continued and the blackberries have grown, we decided to take on another endeavor and turn those goats into workhorses. And we now have a herd of milking does and make our own artisan goat cheese out here. We also bring in cow milk from Heather Faye in Udall and make a couple styles of cheese with her milk. The Creamery is temporarily the pickup site for our takeout family meals. But during the year, it's a small retail shop, and then the factory is viewable through the windows. Right behind me is the cheese make room. And then as we go through the hall, we have our storage tank for bulk milk storage. Next, we have the milking parlor, which during milking times, guests can come and walk through the halls and watch the goats come in and get milked. And at the end of the hall, we have all the girls.
This is amazing.
The goats are in this barn for part of the time. Now they're grazing on rotational pasture. So all along the side of the property, there's an extension. The field is fenced in different portions, and they graze on grass, which just further improves the quality of the milk and then the cheese. It's a really fun expression of kind of the terroir that exists in wine. We also have in Kansas with our cheese. This is our nursery barn, which actually is a barn that's been on the property forever. My husband and his brothers rebuilt it in high school. And this is where, when the does kid, the babies will be over here in this paddock, and the mamas will get milked over here. And in this barn actually is the original cheese making room, very small, where we started out with our cheese making before the Creamery behind you happened.
So we have come from the cheese making area of the property, and tell me what this is all about and what do you do here?
This is the patio where our Bramble Cafe happens, and then during formal dining you can start your courses outside. But this is where all the hustle and bustle is all summer long. So during the summer, during blackberry season, which usually starts the second or third week of June and lasts anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks, depending on the year and the fruit and all the variables of farming. A lot of families will come out and have breakfast at the cafe and then hop on the berry ferry, which takes you to Longfield, which is our blackberry bramble, which is about 3/4 of a mile from here on a separate parcel of land. And the blackberries are all planted and then trellised, so they grow straight up and on one side of the face, so that it makes for really easy picking. The adults can pick high and the kids can pick low, and it is just a really awesome full summer outing. And then you can stop by the Creamery on your way out and grab gelato and be on your way.
All right, so I don't know that I want to say this is where all the magic happens, but this is kind of where all the magic happens, right? Because this is the actual dining room. And if you haven't eaten out here, magic is just simply the word that has to go with it. So tell us about it.
We started formal dining at Elderslie to feature the produce that my sister-in-law was growing for her CSA, which is community supported agriculture. It's where customers come out and pick out a weekly box of vegetables and support the grower through the season with whatever happens: rain, gluts of amazing tomatoes, crop failure. It's a really cool way to support a grower. But we started with a couple of dinner series in the fall and spring to showcase that produce. And as those continued to sell, we continued having more dinners. And now we've grown to be year-round, featuring the produce of lots of different local growers, a few urban farmers, some meat producers, milk from our own creamery, and cheese from the dairy, as well as products from other producers in Kansas. Formal dining is a fixed menu that changes every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what's growing well. We have an amazing team in the kitchen. I've been with the same team for a few years, and they're a delight to work with, super creative, talented people. And then on the front of house, we have just a really intentional, polished service style to accommodate just a really splendid evening. One thing that you'll notice dining at Elderslie is that there's very little interruption because the menu is set, which just allows for a different sort of experience out a little bit away from the hustle and bustle of town. As a chef, well, actually as a human being, I believe that creativity starts with accepting boundaries. And that informs a lot of the cooking style here at Elderslie. We are regional and seasonal in how we curate menus, limited by the seasons and limited by Kansas's. We're not California or Florida, but we have some amazing stuff. It's just not accessible all the time, which actually as a chef gives us a really incredible opportunity to engage with both our community and local growers, but also just the stuff of Kansas and what is produced here and when it grows and how things can go together. In the kitchen, we like to play with putting things together that may not necessarily traditionally go together, but that because they grow together, we've started kind of playing with ingredients that are grown in the same season, and playing with flavors that way, and accepting the confines of not being able to access all of the ingredients all of the time, has actually fed the creativity of our entire team in a really cool way. Of course, we use imported olive oils and spices and serve French wine because it's great. But we really enjoy taking the stuff of Kansas and getting the things that are produced here to be front and center and celebrated in our restaurant.
Well, and I also say that tell the normal time that you would say somebody's here for dinner is what? How
It's
long?
about 2 hours.
Yeah, this is an elegant dining experience. This is not a jump in, get a quick bite to eat, and leave. So come here when you're ready to relax, when you've got 2 or 3 hours to do it the right way.
Yeah, it's a really special.
That is what the experience is.
Yeah.
So tell us about numbers. How many people?
Yes,
inside, outside.
Inside, through the whole house, we seat about 60 people. In each of our dining rooms, this one, on a normal evening, seats about 30, and then we have 2 smaller dining rooms for private events or smaller groups of people. The patio, if we've had evening events out there, cocktail parties and such, seats anywhere from 100 to 150, kind of again depending on the configurations. But within the house, we actually really we like having giving our guests the time to enjoy their dinner, and we don't typically turn our tables. So if you book with us, it's your table for the evening, it just provides a different, in my opinion, it provides a slightly different sort of dining experience. This is how I want to feed you in what is a home and started as a home, and that element of hospitality of coming into a home for a while is just a really special part of what we do here.